Welcome in this new weekly edition of our Wake Up Call interview series. Today we are happy to host Monika Hohlmeier, member of the European Parliament and chair of the Committee on Budgetary Control of the European Parliament. Mrs. Hohlmeier, good afternoon. Many thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon.
A couple months ago, you gave an interview in the German newspaper Die Welt in which you denounced the financing by the EU of Islamist organizations that don't embrace democratic values. So I'd like to ask you my first question as a follow-up of this. Can you explain to our audience in which measure the European Commission has actually financed organizations that are considered problematic by some European governments, such as the Islamic Relief in Germany or the CCIF in France? And why does this constitute an issue?
Normally, the Commission is quite careful, and if the support or the financial subsidies for Islamic fundamentalist or extremist organization is happening, then the Commission normally really reacts very quickly if the Budgetary Control Committee is criticizing Commission for doing something like this. Normally there are severe controls, but it can always happen because Commission wants to finance all organizations that are against intolerance or against violence, but sometimes radical organizations giving themselves nice names or social purposes, cultural purposes, educational purposes, so that you cannot see what is behind. And this happened in the case of the Islamophobia report, for example, where this Islamophobia report was published by the Turkish Foundation for Political, Economic and Social Research, so-called SETA. This is one example. And they are very closely linked to Turkish government, but this Islamophobia report was a quite radical report, and it was several persons belong to extremist organizations or have link to these organizations. And for example, there was a financing or subsidies, financial means in 126 or 27,000. But this is not acceptable. It is acceptable to finance peace, tolerance, and mutual understanding, whatever, in different, even critical areas. But it is not helpful if kind of reports are supported that are at the end contributing to extremist opinions or are misleading young people or people having not a good knowledge about the different issues. So we were clearly asking the Commission to stop these kind of subsidies. The same problem was with the EU financing of the organization Islamic Relief in Germany. That was about 900,000, and the umbrella organization Islamic Relief Worldwide with 3.6 million. All these organizations are not sharing European values, and our committee and the committee members and the whole Parliament expects of the Commission that this kind of subsidies are immediately stopped, and even more that there are better controls to avoid any kind of extremist financing, because this is not in line with our goals that we have foreseen in the programs.
Thank you. And that actually leads to my second question. Through the work of the committee you chair, that consists in ensuring an effective control of the budget, what concrete actions can be taken to prevent such situations? And what other tools does the European Parliament have?
So first, in the Budgetary Control Committee, we are producing every year a so-called discharge. And in the discharge, we are giving recommendations. Secondly, there are the reports of the European Court of Auditors giving recommendations to Commission either So if we find any kind of problems, then we have the possibility to give recommendations. Normally, Commission accepts it at once. So it is the case in the two cases that we have spoken, Commission won't finance further any kind of these organizations or kind of reports or under organizations. We expect, and this will be the next talks with the Commission, we expect that the Commission is explaining to us which kind of methodology they are introducing to avoid any kind of financing of organizations being having links to extremism, or even themselves are producing extremist opinions. Then we expect of the Commission that our idea of supporting an organization or structures that are helping to subsidize tolerance between the religions, and explicitly to give young Muslims a possibility to interact outside of extremist organizations or very radical or fundamentalist organizations. I have the impression that we need to take care explicitly in schools that the children, wherever they are, they receive teaching. No extremist material, that teachers are clearly linked to the European values, and that we act together with member states and to stop this kind of naivety that religion is something where the state has a no say. I think state always must act, or European Union must act, where we risk that young people are receiving wrong information, are misled, are and they are very open for influence. So we have to prohibit radical organizations, extremist organizations, misusing our values of freedom to really to attract young people. And we see that this is necessary in the financing of the development policy in third states. We see the necessity in our own member states to stop a kind of, we have the tolerance that everybody can say, so freedom of opinion. Yes, I'm really in favor of freedom of opinion, but freedom of opinion does not mean to insult Jewish communities, to be violent against Jewish communities, to express violent opinions that lead to violence against Jewish communities. And this is something where I think we have to be more aware and to show more awareness as it is at the moment. It does not help to have headlines. We are against anti-Semitism. It must be shown in the real life where pupils, where the normal population is living. Everybody must stand against anti-Semitism and must stand against any kind of violent intolerance in the area of religion. So I think we have to do some work, but Commission seems to be very open to support us. And I hope that in the next months we can find solutions for increasing this kind of tolerance work and explicitly of protection of our Jewish communities.
This is now time for our third and last question. And actually, I would like to continue on the issue of anti-Semitism, because you mentioned the anti-Semitic nature of these organizations. So how can the European Union really fight better against Islamist extremism, not only at the security level, but also its underlying ideology? And how can this be seen as part of the global European efforts to fight against anti-Semitism?
There are several examples, but I think that schools are the most important place of young people, and nearly in every state, their member state or outside, there is religious teaching or there is normal teaching. And as we are discussing it with the so-called Palestine school books, there we found quite a lot of proofs that there is intolerance in the schools, in the school books. And there we are in discussion, for example, with the organization UNRWA, that certain things have to be deleted in the books, and not only where it is obvious. We want to delete all the content that is hidden violence, or that is hidden intolerance or hatred. And this hidden hatred is one of the most complicated areas. I think I will continue my talks with UNRWA about this. And as former Minister for Education in Bavaria, I saw that, or I experienced, I made the experience that there are a lot of organizations trying to talk with you as minister, then announcing that they are so tolerant, that they would like to support you, and that they would like to help you with the teaching of Muslim children in their religion, and that they would totally be open-minded, and that they would respect European values and German fundamental rights and whatever, human rights. They're telling so nice stories. And then at the end, if you are really checking the background, suddenly you find organizations like Muslim Brotherhood, really quite radical extremist organizations in the background, financing organizations in a hidden way. So I think we have to stop the financing of third states, and we have to be very, very careful in the area of financing of organizations, because with this kind of financing, these organizations receive more power, they receive more possibilities. We have to finance really tolerance and organizations that are really proved, and where we have an evidence that they are non-radical, that they are non-extremist, that they are really open-minded. And I think there are a lot of good experiences in several member states and a lot of schools, but we see enough proof for still existing very problematic situations in our member states and outside. So I think the work is not done. We have to do more.
Monika Hohlmeier, thank you for your clear statements, and thank you so much for sharing your insights on this very important topic.
Thank you very much. I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.